So when it comes to the Philippines, there's a lot of videos out there about how much people love the Philippines, why they stay here, why they never want to go home. I got plenty of videos like that myself over here, but it's not always what it looks like. So often expats will come over here as well, and they'll be like,
why do people like this?
I have a friend of mine that recently came over here from another country, and his very first day over here, we caught up for lunch, and he just had a face like the whole morning like, and I said, what is up? I think you're ready to leave the Philippines already. He's like, I don't know if this place is for me. But a few days later, he may have had a little bit of a different story, but I think so many people coming over here are like that. And that's one of the things that people often don't tell you on vlogs is that the Philippines isn't for everybody. It's for me, but that doesn't mean it's going to be for you. And other times people will come over here and they have super rose-colored glasses on and they just think everything's great in the Philippines. And all that means is that they really just haven't truly gotten to know the Philippines yet, because no place is perfect. It really just comes down to figuring out if it is perfect or not for you. So in this video, I want to look at some of the top reasons why expats come to the Philippines and then leave. One of the first ones, believe it or not, is cost of living mismatch. People come over here and they watch too many videos about how you can live on the Philippines for $500 a month, $750 a month, $1,000 a month. And while those are technically true, they're just not super accurate in terms of asking the bigger question, can you live on $500 or $1,000 a month and be happy to live in the Philippines on that budget? For the overwhelming majority of people that come over here, the answer is a big fat no, you're not going to be happy on that. So definitely this is one of the big things to keep in mind to make sure that if you come over here, you won't be one of those expats packing your bags and leaving because you're complaining about how much more expensive everything is than you thought. I would say very minimum, come over here with a $1,500 a month budget. And even that's not enough because you really need to make sure that you're able to put away some money for a rainy day fund when things inevitably will go wrong from time to time, or there'll be expenses that you didn't expect. Really, if you could come over here on $1,750, $2,000 minimum budget, all the better. Second up is infrastructure challenges. When people come over to the Philippines, they just are a little bit surprised about the lack of infrastructure in a lot of places. For whatever reason, Metro Manila gets so much of the new infrastructure. Whenever I'm in Manila, I see so much going on. So many toll bridges and different things like that being built over there. Here in Cebu City, there is a ton of infrastructure, but it's all going up. It's high-rise condos, it's high-rise office space, but it's never really going wider in terms of adding more roads. So in the 5 years that I've lived in the Philippines, there are literally probably 2, 3, 4 dozen, I'm not exaggerating, new high-rises just in Cebu City alone. I remember even looking out during the lockdown, strictest part of the pandemic, and just from my condo window, seeing 12 different cranes building huge new buildings out there. Construction is always going up, but not wide. And so people wind up sitting in endless traffic in Cebu City, even Manila. I said that there's so much construction projects over there, but there's such a traffic problem there as well. And they're just really hard problems to solve in any country. But definitely the Philippines seems like it has its fair share of problems with that. And people just get tired of sitting in traffic. I mean, it's pretty rare that you're going to be doing more than 30, 40 kilometers, not miles, kilometers an hour in the Philippines. It's slow. And so a lot of people get tired of having to travel an hour and a half to make it 10 miles or something like that over here. In some of the province areas or even areas, once you get outside of Dumaguete and you're in Bacong, Dalwin, Zamboanga, in places like Negros Oriental, I'm amazed at how good the roads are. There's other parts of Mindanao where it's just a bit more wide open, but those aren't necessarily as populated areas. I think the Philippines is on the move in terms of infrastructure. For me, I love seeing Filipinos like Raymond Ong over here. He owns everything but San Miguel Beer, a lot of other very big companies over here, and he is spending an enormous amount of money on infrastructure projects over here, and I love seeing that. I really would love to see more entrepreneurial Filipinos that really just want to help the country grow when it comes to infrastructure. He's doing a lot with roads. He's doing a lot with airports over here, and all those things are making a big difference. But for so many expat, those kind of projects that will be completed years down the track are going to be too little, too late. And so infrastructure is definitely one of the big challenges why expats leave the Philippines. Next up is healthcare concerns. A lot of the guys that come over to the Philippines for one reason or another are retired guys. I think that this is a little bit unique to the Philippines and maybe some Caribbean type island, places that people might retire, where people don't necessarily come here to work. They come here to retire. And as guys get a bit older and they see the quality of the hospitals here, as they see the options for healthcare here, they see that, well, there are some great doctors here, a lot of great specialists. There is insurance companies over here. However, some of these things just become a bit overwhelming and a bit of a struggle. And they start to think, if I was in my home country, things would probably be even better healthcare. I would feel a little bit more secure in some of the insurance over here. And so they wind up saying, I just got to bail out. I want to live a longer life. And they have concerns that they might just be able to live a longer life and a higher quality of life if they are dealing with healthcare in their own country. I do want to say on this, though, that there truly are a lot of amazing doctors and healthcare professionals in the Philippines. There are some good hospitals, but you really got to do your due diligence, get referrals, make sure that you're going to the best possible hospital for the type of issues that you might have, and that you really find well-vetted and very excellent healthcare professionals that could address your specific needs. However, at the end of the day, it's pretty tough to compete with some of the Western countries and healthcare. Next up, people that want to invest longer term in the Philippines often will leave because they get disillusioned that foreigners can't own land over here. Like, even if you're married to a Filipina, even if you're on like a business investor's visa like I am, even if you live over here a long time, tough. You can't own even the smallest tiny piece of land over here. I'm sure the Philippines government has some really good reasons why it doesn't want to open up land ownership to foreigners. However, if you're a foreigner, it kind of sucks. So a lot of foreigners say, I would just rather live somewhere else where I could also, put a stake in the ground, buy land, buy a home. And the Philippines doesn't allow me to do that, so I'm going to bail out. A lot of other countries out there that are also retirement options like Dominican Republic and, so on, they allow land ownership. They allow foreigners to really be able to put down longer term roots in those type of ways. Prices are cheaper. And a lot of people say, for that reason, I got to bail out on the Philippines. Next issue why so many expats will leave the Philippines is things like poor customer service. You say poor customer service, people really leave the country over that? They do, because they just get so incredibly frustrating for some guys. Day after day, it's like death by 1,000 cuts. Just the most simple things that seem like, come on, guys, why is this such a challenge? But it often is a challenge over here. You go to a restaurant and maybe there's 4 people there and the food is brought out 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes apart. One person's already done eating and the next, people are just sitting there and you hear their stomach because they're hungry. That's just normal in the Philippines. Or if you go to a bank and you might just be there for 3 hours in line, I can't make this stuff up. So much is done still on paper and not electronic. And I could go on complaining about this stuff, but these things don't matter that much to me. They are annoying, at times. One thing, though, that you have to be aware of when it comes to customer service is that it's not necessarily always bad customer service. It might be that there's just some cultural misunderstandings going on or some culturally different ways that things are done over here. Say, for example, if you go to a restaurant in the US, you're going to sit down. Immediately, a waiter or waitress is going to go there. They're going to give you some water. And they're going to say, hey, what can I get you to drink? Then at the end of your meal, they're just going to see that things are almost done. They're going to bring the check over. Then when you go to leave, they're already going to see that your food is almost done. They're going to start clearing your plates away as you finish up your food. And then when it's pretty obvious that you're done with things, they're going to say, hey, you want anything else? You're going to say, nope. They're going to drop down, everything to be able to pay your bill, and you're going to be on your merry way. Now, take that same exact situation here in the Philippines. It's not going to happen like that at all. You're going to sit down at the table and they're not going to come to you right away. Why? Because they don't want to rush you. It would be seen as a little bit rude if you just go in there and you start saying, okay, what's your order? Here, they want you to take your time. And so you're going to really have to wave somebody down and, tell them I'm ready. And then when it comes time to get your bill, you're going to also have to wave them down again and say, can I get the check? And then that's how basically things happen over here. It's just different. They're trying to not rush you. And if you really think about it, it's actually pretty kind and courteous, and you might actually look at it the opposite way in a lot of Western countries where it's like, how rude. They're trying to like rush us in, rush us out of the place, which they are because they're trying to turn the tables around as quick as possible to be as profitable as possible. So keep these things in mind as well, that there's just a different lens to how things are done in both countries. Sometimes it's not what you think, and you just need to take a little bit of time to understand how people do things different in a different culture. All that said, customer service is just not what most expats would hope that it was over here. And I hope that's something that keeps improving in the Philippines. Next up is cultural struggles in relationships. It's a lot of guys that will come over here and they will have seen videos where some, old fat dude like myself marries a young, beautiful Filipina and they live happily ever after. And they say, wow, I want to be that guy. And so they move over to the Philippines and they start to meet Filipinas and they find out, wow, Filipinas really are beautiful. It's pretty easy to date over here. And then they find out that culturally things are just really different. That should be obvious. But I think when you watch videos or you see online, a lot of the struggle, which is real when it comes to relationships in the Philippines, it's kind of left out. I know guys that have been over here. I think of one of my friends that's been on my channel a bit, really worked hard to find a Filipina. And now he's in Thailand, seeing what things are like over there. And it's just a little bit of a struggle. Some guys come over here and they meet the woman of their dreams right away. Others of us do to just try and fail and try some more. And other expats just say, peace out. I'm going to try to find a girlfriend in another country. So this is also one of the other reasons that some expats leave. Next up, get a job. But you can't get a job. Some expats come over here and maybe they're retired and they don't need the money, but they just want something to do. Or maybe they underestimated the amount of budget that they would need, like we talked about earlier on, and they need to make some more money to be able to live here, but they can't find a job. The Philippines really prioritizes jobs for Filipinos. And so if you are looking for a job over here, it's not that it's impossible, but it's almost impossible. It really takes a lot of work. Legally, the Philippines will give a job to a Filipino first. And if a foreigner over here is going to get a job visa, then they're going to really have to be able to prove that it's a job that a Filipino couldn't have taken. I know foreigners that work regular jobs over here, so it does happen. But again, most expats are just going to give up in that scenario because there's slim to no chance that they find a job over here. Last but not least, one of the main reasons why expats leave over here is because they have rose-colored glasses on. Not about the Philippines, but about their own country. And they forgot why they left that country to begin with. I think that once you move to another country and it just becomes normal, you could start to develop that grass is greener on the other side, that, rose-colored glasses perspective about how things were in your own country, and really forget that you left your own country to begin with because you weren't happy there. And some of that, I think, is because some people are not going to be happy anywhere they live because their unhappiness is in the inside. They just bring that over to the Philippines and they want to blame everything now on the Philippines instead of the US or Australia or wherever else they came from. And in reality, they're blaming things on the Philippines that just have nothing to do with the Philippines. It's internal. Other people, they forget all of the difficulties, the challenges, the drama, the struggles in their own country. And they start to think, it wasn't so bad there after all. And they leave in search of a renewed chance in the country where they came from. So guys, these are some of the big picture reasons why expats will leave the Philippines. I would love to hear your thoughts on these, any you feel that I missed out. If you haven't subscribed already, would love your support. Click that subscribe button and you will win a free vacation to the Philippines at your own expense. Thanks again for watching. Take care.